Okay, boys and girls, I hope you had a great weekend. I'm going to go a little bit more into matter, which is what we were discussing last week with the different liquid, solid, and gas. So let's just talk about this, all about matter. Matter is anything that has mass and takes up space. Everything that exists in the world around us contains matter. So remember, we had talked about in the Google Meet that my pencils, my staplers, everything, your chair, curtains, it is matter and it's going to take up space. So if you had a test question that asked if pencils take up space or if they are matter, you would want to make sure that you remembered that pencils do take up space, so they are matter. So matter can exist in any phase, such as solid, liquid, or gas. It doesn't have to be something that's like a desk that you can physically sit at. It can be anything. The parts that make up matter are too small to be seen without magnification. Okay, so all matter is broken up with as particles, little bitty molecules. So remember, we talked about that if you were gas, that the molecules are going to be bouncing against each other. And so that would be like you guys outside at recess running all over the playground. And if you were going to music and you're in a line in the hallway, that's going to be liquid because the molecules aren't as far spread out. They're closer together, bouncing off each other. And then lastly, we talked about solid, which is like a cougar pack at like a baseball or a football game in a huddle listening to the coach. And so we're so tight, they're bouncing off and then they're taking form. So there's no possible way for them to get loose like they do in other areas. The air that surrounds us is made up of matter. We cannot see air because it's a colorless gas. Okay, so everything in this room is still taking up space, even though you're not able to see it. Now, for the next one, we're going to talk a little bit more about water. So, water can come in different states. All three states of water are going to be solid, liquid, and gas. They're used by human beings for different reasons. Okay, so when we learn later in the water cycle, you're going to find out about how the same water is recycled and how we use those. All animals, including humans, need to drink liquid water to live. Humans also use liquid water in many other ways. Liquid water is used around the house for washing clothes, taking baths, cleaning dishes, and for preparing food. Moving liquid water can be used to generate power, hydroelectric plants. They can produce electricity. And this all happens because the water is running through the dam. Liquid water is also used for transportation. Huge boats called ocean liners carry cargo all around the world. Many people use liquid water for recreation, such as water skiing, swimming, scuba diving, boating, and fishing are just a few examples of this. Solid water is known as ice and is usually used to cool other objects. It is used to keep foods from spoiling. It can be used to keep drinks cold. Ice is also used in medicine because it can be applied to injuries to help decrease pain and swelling. And then last, water can be found in gas, which is known as water vapor. It's also useful. Water vapor produced by boiling liquid water is used in most power plants to generate electricity. Heated water vapor is also used in steam engines, which can power trains and or ocean liners. So let's talk about the change that can happen from matter. So they can change from solid to liquid to gas, and this is going to be a phase change. The three main phases of matter are going to be solid, liquid, and gas. When matter is heated or cooled, it can change from one of these phases to another. So how does this happen? Oh, look, here's some of the vocabulary that we learned last week, or that we seen on our pretest. Condensation. It's going to be a change of gas into a liquid. So melting is a change of a solid into a liquid. Freezing is going to be a change of a liquid to a solid, and boiling is going to be a change of a liquid into a gas. So, for example, condensation is going to happen when something gets colder, and then you get bubbles. Your drink sometimes has bubbles on the outside of your glass. Melting would be thinking about putting butter in a skillet, how it melts. It's a solid and then it melts down. Freezing. Think about if you've ever made a homemade popsicle. Okay, you pour them into an ice cube tray and then you stick them into the freezer, and then boiling. So maybe your mom's making macaroni for you and you have to boil water. So you put water into a pot and you put it on the stove and then you boil it. Those little bubbles are slowly evaporating water. That's the steam that you see above the pot. Particles of matter speed up or slow down in response to temperature changes. This is what causes the matter to change phases. Particles move much slowly when matter is in the solid state. When heat is added to a solid, the particles of the solid will begin moving faster. If the solid is heated enough, it will melt to form a liquid. If the liquid continues to be heated, its particles will begin moving even faster. When enough heat is added to a liquid, it will eventually evaporate to form a gas. Particles move most quickly in the gas phases. The more quickly that heat is added or removed to cause a phase change, the faster the phase change will be. For example, ice has a freezing point of 0 degrees. An ice cube would melt faster in a cup of hot tea that is 50 degrees Celsius than in a room that is 20 degrees Celsius.